It's Monday night, and you know what that means. Jersey First TV proudly brings to you the latest edition of Real Talk. And yes, I am New Jersey's premier and now 10-time award-winning journalist. Top Latino as voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative, and I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media, because my level of honesty, folks, now more than ever, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, folks. It's me, Fernando Uribe, the generational talent in Garden State media. Of course, the future of media here in New Jersey. Because again, you can't spell future without the letters FU. And guess what? You can't spell Fernando Uribe either. Folks, happy Monday to you all here on the 21st of October. As you can see, we're still rocking pink here on Jersey First TV in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And certainly, again, let's keep raising awareness. And of course, this program is proud to work with the American Cancer Society and making strides against breast cancer. So again, folks, we're thinking pink here throughout the month of October. We appreciate you tuning in from wherever and however you may be doing. So, of course, right now on Facebook Live, via StreamYard, also on the Jersey First YouTube page, as well as our Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget, of course, to check us out on Spotify or SoundCloud. Of course, wherever you get your podcast, download it and take Jersey First TV with you anywhere at any time. Again, guys, I appreciate you bearing with me. Kind of a rough voice here over the weekend, hosting a professor's quest to save breasts, and obviously also doing the breast cancer walk. Folks, again, as always, remember how proud I am to be on the dream team of Garden State Media. That's right, folks. It's Jersey First TV. Brand new episodes of the Latino Narrative premiere every Thursday, and brand new episodes of Bridging the Gap with AJ Melillo premiere every Thursday as well. Of course, brand new episodes of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe premiere every Monday night right here on the Jersey First Television Network. As I just mentioned, folks, long weekend for yours truly, my voice, between hosting the Professor's Quest to Save Breasts at the World Famous Ventanas at the Modern in Fort Lee, and of course, doing the breast cancer walk yesterday with making strides against breast cancer in Newark, right in front of the Prudential Center. Folks, my voice is kind of shot, but I'll do my best here. Again, being the generational talent, nothing's going to stop me from bringing you the best analysis and commentary about everything going on in today's political climate. Folks, you want to stick around for final thoughts. I'm going to have a lot to say about really a young man that I am so proud to know. And yes, folks, he's a guy that you've seen on this program multiple times, and I've been a guest on his show, award-winning podcaster Joey Block. Yes, the host of In the Middle on Fox Sports Radio New Jersey. Folks, I'm going to give you a nice testimonial as to why exceptional journalists like Joey Block are the future here in New Jersey. And I'll be more than happy to talk about his accolades, obviously receiving the award this past weekend at the New Jersey Society of Professional Journalists dinner. So a lot to put over when it comes to Joey. Happy to do that later on in the show during Final Thoughts. You want to stick around for that. And of course, folks, when we talk about good journalists, yeah, we think about Joey Block. But when we think about bad journalists, and yes, folks, it's almost Halloween. So why not really, let's be honest, let's get the clowns out in New Jersey media. Yes, folks, Matt Friedman, obviously Alan Levin, Max Pizarro, the Three Stooges there, as you can see, Pete O'Nelia, Max Pizarro and Alan Steinberg, along with Uncle Dave, David Cruz, Tom Moran, and of course, little Jay Lassiter. Folks, again, it's, in a world full of these fools, let's try to be more like Joey Block, and I'll tell you more about that during Final Thoughts. Folks, again, takes 2 seconds. Like, comment, and share on all of your social media platforms. We appreciate you being with us here tonight on the Jersey First Television Network. And folks, again, we're 15 days away, hopefully, electing the 47th President of the United States, Donald Trump, because guess what, folks? We can't take another 4 years of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris policies. I think we're seeing that. And in 15 days, we have a chance to not just turn New Jersey red, but turn the country red as well. So again, folks, it's a very volatile election season. But when we talk about elections, sure, we talk about campaigns, we talk about candidates. But folks, it's very important to talk about elections and election integrity, because God knows we don't see a lot of that in many states and even here in New Jersey. But one organization that is looking to change all that and really raise awareness about election integrity here in the state of New Jersey are their founders, Lynne Lippincott and Mark Denmo, representing the New Jersey citizens for election integrity. And folks, and they join me live right now here on Real Talk. Lynne, Mark, how are you?
Great, thanks, Fernando.
Really well. Thanks for having us, Fernando.
Oh, listen, pleasure's all mine. And folks, again, check out their website, citizens, the number 4, njei.org for more information about how you can get involved with them and certainly the great efforts that they're doing here in New Jersey, and really helping to promote election integrity. Because, folks, it's not a cliche. It's not right-wing hysteria or right-wing conspiracies. Folks, election integrity is important. We want to make sure that people are voting correctly and legally, and that's not a bad thing. If we really believe in, since the left in New Jersey want to talk about democracy, we want to talk about, fair elections, folks, it starts with integrity. It starts with these two great individuals representing again, Citizens for New Jersey for election integrity. Guys, good to see you again. Happy Monday to you all. Now, again, obviously, it's a collective effort here. So, Lynne, we'll start with you. Obviously, you're collaborating with Mark and other good people with the organization. What was your epiphany, or what led to the creation of the Citizens for New Jersey Election Integrity?
Well, I guess Mark and I met each other probably close to 3 years ago. We had both been working independently on some election integrity items that were a little concerning to us. And then we were sort of introduced through a social media platform that we both belong to, called Telegram. And we joined forces and started to really dive into some research that we were concerned about. And then 6 months ago, we formalized the group by forming a nonprofit organization and taking all the people that we've been gathering throughout the last few years from as many counties as we can find here in New Jersey. And we just started to, our main objective, I guess, is, for lack of a better word, is education, because we're doing our best to learn as much as we can about the elections process. I think I can speak for both of us. We know more now about elections than we ever thought we would, and that's a good thing. So that's really where we came together, and what we're trying to do now is to just educate people about elections.
Absolutely, and that's really important. Mark, please.
Well, actually, what happened is in November 2022, unlike Maricopa County, Arizona, where at least a third of their tabulators worked on election day, in Mercer County, no tabulators worked on election day for the entire day. And so when Lynne and I were looking for an opportunity to dig in and start to audit what was going on in the elections, Mercer County presented us with a beautiful opportunity to do that, right? And as a result, if we figured that if the voting machines didn't work on election day, then there were probably other things that were wrong with that election. And boy, were we ever right. So what that election helped us do was gather up all the data. We learned how to Oprah data from all across the state. We opened all of the election records. We reconciled the data, and we found numerous problems that resulted in a major voter disenfranchisement lawsuit. Right. So we're, in addition to the education aspect that Lynne touched on earlier, we're very active from a litigation standpoint, where we filed numerous Oprah lawsuits, and we're also in another Oprah lawsuit with Mercer County, where for the same election records that they gave us in the November 2022 election, they gave those to us for free. They want to charge us $53,000 for the same election records for the November 2023 election. So that needed, obviously, to be challenged in court, and we're in the process of doing that. So, there's a lot of interesting things that we're fighting for, Fernando, and that's, if you can't, you need access to. If you don't have access to the data, it's not a transparent election. It can't be fair if you can't validate it.
Absolutely. And folks, if you're just joining us live right now, it's 5:40 here on the East Coast. My guests tonight are the founders of Citizens for New Jersey Election Integrity right now here on Real Talk. Lynne Lippincott and Mark Denmo joins us live here. Folks, again, it takes 2 seconds. Like, comment, and share, and show your support for Real Talk right here on the Jersey First Television Network. Lynne and Mark, one of the things, again, I'm really one of the few journalists in New Jersey media that really examines this, that talks about election transparency. And, listen, I'm a big person about voter ID. I think we should have voter ID in all 50 states. Now, it's not racist, it's not bigoted, it's not discriminatory. again, I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but it's interesting where if I want to practice my Second Amendment, I need to be able to show ID, right? And if I don't show ID to practice my Second Amendment right in terms of, let's say, legally purchasing a firearm, well, I mean, no one seems to find that to be racist or discriminatory, right? And many on the left, and this shouldn't be a political issue, or shouldn't be left versus right, Republican versus Democrat. But it just seems that here in New Jersey, many in the legislature in Trenton love to weaponize this and say, well, when you talk about voter ID, it's disenfranchising people. And what I say all the time, and again, you guys can back me up on this, or at least correct me if I'm wrong. But again, folks, every 4 years, for people like myself, I can't speak for you two, you can tell me, but I operate a motor vehicle. Every 4 years, I pay $24 to renew my driver's license.
Yeah.
Now, for those out there that choose to not operate a motor vehicle or cannot or whatever, but choose to have a state licensed ID, that'll cost you $18 every 4 years. Okay. If you can't, now again, if you just simply put $1 away a month for 2 consecutive years, there's your $24 to afford your driver's license every 4 years. If you can't afford $24 in 4 years, not to sound like bougie or mean-spirited, but folks, you got bigger problems than voting. And, that's the truth. So when I hear that, hey, getting an ID is hard for poor people, and it disenfranchises people of color or poor white people, that's just not true. We need an ID to basically do everything in everyday society. Enroll in undergrad, grad school, travel, take your pick. Now, again, those are all privileges. They're not rights. But the idea that showing your identity is somehow, racist or targeting people of color, I just can't wrap my head around that, guys.
Yeah, it's we're a sanctuary state. We give driver's licenses and social security numbers to non-citizens. So by extension, there are people who need assistance who get the IDs that they need to get the assistance that they need. Therefore, there's it's a function of the state doesn't want it. If the state wanted it, they would have it. That's just it's as simple as that, really.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've been, for the last 3 years, I've been working as a poll worker. So during the elections, I'm one of the people that goes and works at the polls, checks the voters in, helps them, give them their ballot and whatever. And you would be surprised how many people will walk in holding out their driver's license and trying to hand it to the poll workers so they can be validated on these electronic poll books. But as a poll worker, I'm instructed by the county that it's absolutely against the rules for me to ask a voter for their ID. And so many people walk in and they're very irate that we're not asking for their ID. So I think that if the state truly wanted to know what the public would like to do as far as voter ID, they should put a question on the ballot, a statewide question. Are you in favor of voter ID? And let the public decide if we want to have that validation in our elections. But sadly, that's not going to happen anytime soon. So,
yeah, and it's unfortunate because, as I said before, it's not a party thing. It's not like, it doesn't matter. I think if you're a Republican or a Democrat, Libertarian, a Green Party, it doesn't matter. I think that we should want our elections to be fair, to be honest, to be transparent and trustworthy. And again, this is not someone, who is a conservative, who is one of the few conservative journalists out there in New Jersey media. But, when I talk to elected officials all the time, a lot of them off the record say to me, Fernando, you're absolutely right. It just seems like there's certain leadership in Trenton that is all about weaponizing this during every election cycle, or just weaponizing it because it seems like they want to cater to a certain lobby. And to your point, Mark, before about, you're giving driver's licenses to illegals, which I think was wrong. You're also, again, listen, Elon Musk isn't wrong when he goes on Twitter/X and says, hey, what a coincidence. A lot of these illegals and these migrants are being sort of bused to all these different swing states, because essentially what the left would like in this country, listen, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you two, this is just my hypothesis, but it would just seem like many on the left, and not just in New Jersey, but around the country, guys, would want literally this country to become basically California, a one-party state, one-party rule. And again, I don't think it's a coincidence. We're seeing all these, illegals being shipped out to all these different states. We all know every state has different laws. Are we seeing some shenanigans about trying to register illegals to the voter roll? I mean, that has happened. I'm not imagining this, right?
The nonpartisan issue, 80% of all registered voters support the idea of voter ID and support the idea of only citizens being able to vote. And you're absolutely right, Fernando. There's no question. There's no question about it. And I do eventually think that if we keep pushing, we will get legislation that does help in this regard. The SAVE Act that was brought in front of Congress a few months ago, that passed Congress and it stalled in the Senate. That's an important piece of legislation that helps close the gap between federal and state law around the validation of citizenship. And so it's an important piece of legislation that needs to be pushed through. And there are gaps as a result because the laws were written years ago when we didn't have an immigration problem. So I do think it'll be addressed depending upon the outcome of the election.
Sure. And folks, again, like, comment, and share. We do see some comments coming in. We appreciate that. I'm not going to mention people by name here, but we do see some comments here. It's hard for people who don't have documentation. Well, then go and get that. Again, if you can't get documentation, voting's the least of your worries. If you can't have an ID to either open a bank account, either apply for a mortgage. Again, listen, voting's important. I think we're seeing that 15 days to go. And I'm not being hyperbolic here. I would argue that this is the most important election in my adult life. I'm in my 40s, but I've been watching politics for a long, long time. And I can tell you that this is arguably the most important election about the direction where this country is going. I get voting is important, but I'm tired of hearing this sort of lame excuse by people. And again, I appreciate the comments. Keep them coming, please. Okay, about, well, it's hard for people to get. Well, guess what? If you can't get a birth certificate, if you can't get certain documents, I mean, again, I'm sorry, but that's a you problem. That's not a Fernando Uribe problem. And I hate to sound cruel, but it's about priorities. Because again, without an ID, how can people just go about, traveling, again, going to a bank, opening an account, opening a savings account for your newborn baby, for any parents out there that, let's say, want to, buy a savings bond for their child or open a 401k. How do people exist without an ID? You can't literally do anything in commerce, business, education. Hey, you want to enroll your kids in school, you gotta verify who they are. So this idea that, people, well, again, it's about priorities. You have to find a way to get this documentation. So again, I understand people's plight, Lynn, but I hate that cop-out excuse. At least that's what it sounds like to me.
I think one thing that we have to remind people, and we try to do this all the time, is that, first of all, New Jersey is one of the easiest states in the country to get an ID. Our government has made that abundantly clear. Anyone who comes in the state can walk into the Department of Motor Vehicles and get an ID. The second thing is that, as far as this being a, racism or whatever, when you think about people walking into the polling locations or registering to vote and they're not legally eligible to vote in our elections, for every vote that someone like that casts in the election, that invalidates a legal voter's vote. So everyone should be concerned about this, because I want my vote to count, but if someone in my county is voting illegally, then that's going to negate my vote. So I think, you mentioned all the, ID. You need ID to walk into the pharmacy and buy cough medicine. So I think that it, not to oversimplify it, but really having an ID is part of life. I think it's very essential. And to say that it's disenfranchising people to make them have some type of identification to vote is, I don't know what reasonable person would think that that's true.
I agree completely. Folks, if you just joined us right now, it's 5:52 here on the East Coast. My guests right now are the founders of Citizens for New Jersey Election Integrity. You can check out their website. Obviously, great stuff on there. If you're looking to get involved and get better informed about the importance of election integrity, please visit their website, Citizens for the number 4 EI. Citizens for njei.org. My apologies for everyone at home. Folks, you can like, comment, and share right now on your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, as well as all the other social media platforms that you subscribe to. Mark, let me ask you this. Again, obviously 15 days to go. Really volatile race, obviously nationally, but even here in New Jersey, all 12 congressional districts are up for grabs. An important U.S. Senate seat is up for grabs, as well as even municipal elections, local county elections as well. What are you encountering from people you talk to? I know you're going to a Board of Elections meeting in just a little bit. We appreciate you joining us here, obviously. What are you hearing from people that ask you about this organization and like, hey, why are you doing this? Why are you going to these lengths? Is it really worth it? You know, what's your reaction when you get maybe some of these questions when you go to Board of Elections meetings?
Well, actually, I was in a Board of Elections meeting in Cape May County, and when I explained what we were doing, the Board of Elections people said, "Thank you for being involved." They were very transparent, and they were very appreciative for the questions that we were asking, which we're not there to put anybody on the spot. We're there to be helpful as much as we can, and to ensure that the only eligible people vote, and as many people vote as possible, and no one's disenfranchised. So we are hearing compliments from people who welcome the transparency, and there are also people who question the motivation and push back on us. And we say to them that he who has nothing to hide hides nothing. So we're not going to go away.
I would agree. And I know, like, I'm in Camden County, and I'm very fortunate because my Board of Elections is very transparent. They're always very willing to share any data that I request from them. And I do attend the Board of Elections meetings when I can. I've had a tour of the election offices. They're very, very willing to be open about answering my questions. So I am very fortunate. But I know a lot of counties maybe are struggling with this a little bit. And one of the things that we as an organization have been doing, we have a weekly Zoom call that we invite I'll call it our mailing list to. And we've developed a whole, I guess, repertoire of things that we can put people to work. You know, that if people want something to do, if they want to become involved, we can help them. And one of the biggest things that we do is we encourage people to go to their boards of elections meetings or to their county commissioners meetings, whatever the most, I guess, the most prominent local government meeting would be that means something to them individually. And we try to help them to be able to ask questions, to get the information they need to know in order to understand the process better, to also offer their boards of elections or their county commissioners their opinions on things. Because to be honest, sometimes, I know I've had situations where I've actually made suggestions or brought things to the attention of members of my board, and they've been appreciative of that. And they're willing to look into things if I bring them to their attention. So I'm very happy, and I want to continue to encourage people to do that type of interaction and to engage with their county governments, because at the end of the day, the elections do belong to the people. And it's up to us to make sure that we know what's happening in the election process.
Absolutely correct. Let me ask you this: what's been the feedback that you've received, if any, from elected officials that I'm sure maybe you've run into? I know you mentioned you go to Board of Elections meetings and things of that nature, but have you talked to any legislators in Trenton? What's been not necessarily the success rate, but what's been the feedback in talking to anyone, Republican or Democrat legislators?
I mean, I'll give a little bit, Lynn, and you could sort of fill in the color if that's okay. But I would say I think we're both disappointed in the level of engagement across the board from our legislators here in New Jersey. Take, for example, the governor's race that's upcoming, right? We held a election integrity conference in Hamilton, New Jersey in June, and Ed Durr was the only candidate who attended, right? And we were sincerely appreciative of that. And Lynn, do you want to talk a little bit more about I'd say the lack of engagement?
Yeah, I mean, it is discouraging because one of the things we pride ourselves with in our organization is we are nonpartisan. We don't, we want election integrity because it's the right thing. It's not because, our personal opinions are not I'm sorry, not our personal opinions, but our personal political beliefs are not really the most important issue. The most important issue is that we have trust in our elections and confidence in our elections. And I think it's discouraging that, we've seen in the last, I don't know, 6 months or so, we've seen a lot of legislation that's been proposed by our legislators and by our assembly and by our Senate. And the bills that are being proposed now, it's almost ironic, although maybe it's a little more than a coincidence because we are becoming a lot more vocal in the state. But a lot of these bills that they're trying to pass are directly against the things that we are fighting for, such as voter ID and the other
And
pieces,
think about
the Oprah, the Oprah law that
exactly.
changed, where we, for the last 3 or 4 years, we've been able to obtain public records very easily in our state. But that's one of the things we've been very, very fortunate, because other states across the country, some of the states are not giving any records to the voters, to the people that are requesting them. But we were getting a lot of records, no problem, no questions asked. All of a sudden, this bill comes up, and now we have the changes in the Oprah laws. And in a lot of cases, we're worried that the counties will find ways to block, or to, I should say, curtail our ability to get the records without incurring a significant cost. And that's a problem.
No, it certainly is. And folks, again, if you just joined us right now, it's 5:57 here on the East Coast. My guests tonight are the founders of Citizens for New Jersey Election Integrity, Mr. Mark Denmo and Lynne Lippincott. Join us here, guys. Just real quick. I mean, I'm curious, how much more time do we have? Because I know you have a Board of Elections meeting coming up this evening.
I probably have about 15 more minutes.
Okay, cool. I'm going to try to get as much as I can in the next 5-10. Make sure you get to where you have to get to on time. Obviously, elections have changed since COVID. We know that during that election season, vote by mail became the norm, early voting. And listen, I'm one of those individuals, again, not just as a journalist, but in my time as an academic. I always believe, like in a lot of other countries, right, in the Western world, election day is a holiday. I think one way to fix voting is to make, election day a federal holiday. It seems like, whether it's Trenton or Washington, I have no problem coming up with other federal holidays, right? Like Juneteenth or something, which, I mean, okay, it's important, but at the end of the day, like, we look at election day, everyone should be off. The idea that people have to sort of prioritize going to work or getting up too early or maybe coming home too late and can't vote, and that being an obstacle, I think it's nonsense. I think one way to fix that, in my opinion, would be to make election day a federal holiday. I'm not the biggest fan of vote by mail. I do understand the importance of early voting, but even that seems ripe for chicanery and some shady business guys. Where am I wrong?
No, I think we have election season now. We don't have election day, right? And the longer that you give people to vote, the longer you have an opportunity to manipulate the process. And it was designed to be run locally by the people who recognize at the precinct the people that come in to vote. You do have a constitutional right to vote in person, and you have a constitutional right to an absentee ballot, but you don't have a constitutional right to a mail-in ballot, Fernando. So I would expect that the expansive nature of the current expansive nature of the mail-in ballot process in New Jersey and the other states will be challenged eventually.
Lynn?
Yeah, I would agree. I think that we are, one of the things we have learned over the last few years is the complexity of the elections process. It is very, very, very complex. And I think that in some cases, things change so quickly. Technology has been introduced. A lot of the people who are charged with running our elections may not really be comfortable with a lot of the technology. They may not understand some of it. And because it changes so quickly and so frequently, that is causing a problem, I think. And so even when you talk about the state has issues getting enough poll workers now, because a lot of the poll workers are a little, they're not comfortable with it and they don't really want to learn it. So I think that one of the things that we find is that with each passing year, there's more complexity rather than less. And that is causing more, like Mark said, you spread this out over weeks and even months in some places, not in New Jersey, but some states, you have such a long election process that there's so many moving parts that it's really, really hard to keep everything in order and in trust, in being trustworthy.
And, and I'll get back to you real quick, Mark, but it's interesting to me because, again, I grew up and I've been watching politics for a better part of my adult life. And, I remember staying up pretty late for a lot of elections in my adult life. I remember, obviously, in 2000, that was a whole mess that took a month to rectify. But then even in 2004, I remember that, even by late early Wednesday morning, I would say by like 4 or 5 in the morning, we finally got some clarity. And then obviously, we saw what the margins were in 2008. And obviously, like that election was called pretty early. Same thing in 2012. Even 2016, I remember staying up until about 2:30 in the morning. And I was so delighted to look at the image of the Javits Center and everybody there, like just squirming in despair. But that was okay, 2, 3 in the morning. I anticipate, obviously, in 15 days, I'll stay up until maybe 2 or 3 in the morning. I'll have to go to bed because it just seems like states are being unnecessarily long-winded in this process. And right next door in Pennsylvania, they even told us outright, like, hey, we probably won't be able to tell you who the winner is of the state's 19 electoral votes on election night, which to me, I think is crazy.
Well, if you're gonna introduce computers to the situation, one would think that you would know if the polls close at 9 o'clock, you would know who the winner is at 9:01, right? There's, the automation is supposed to increase speed and accuracy, but as Lynn pointed out, it does nothing but layer in cost and complexity. And I come from a banking background. I work with some people who come from audit backgrounds, and you have confidence in your checking accounts reconciled every night, right? And you have confidence in the process that they get it right. And that's because they have internal controls and exceptions that they monitor. And in the election process, you have no internal controls, right? There's some simple things that you can do and that they've been arguing about in Georgia, for example, where you want to compare the number of people who checked into the poll book to the actual people who cast a ballot to the actual ballots that are in the machine, right? They're like those are key things that you want to keep track of to make sure that you have one ballot for everybody who checked into the poll book on election day. And same with the mail-in ballots. You have X thousand that get mailed out, Y get returned undeliverable, Z get X. X is what's sent out, Y is what's returned undeliverable, and Z is what's returned with the ballot. And you should be able to reconcile that from a numerical standpoint. But we find when you audit elections, none of those numbers tie out. None of them. None.
Lynn?
I would agree. I was just going to say that. That's one of the things we've been doing. Like I said earlier, we've gathered data from all 21 counties, and we do compare. We've learned, how to read some of the reports and how to analyze the information. And by and large, when you look at the information, the data, none of it matches. So, like the results that are reported to the county don't match the results that come off the tabulator tapes, and that doesn't match what the state is telling the federal government. And there's always that catchphrase that you hear, it's not enough to worry about. Well, you multiply that by, every county has a few little glitches, or every township has a few little glitches. Is it enough to change an outcome of an election? I believe it absolutely is. And that's a problem if we're not willing to recognize that maybe these machines need to be reconsidered, because like Mark said, a computer is supposed to be above above human intelligence as far as how it operates, and the speed and the accuracy is supposed to be beyond reproach. But we're finding that that's not the case at all.
It certainly isn't the case at all, and I really appreciate the way that you two have been such crusaders in this. And I always find it insulting when establishment media, whether it be national or even in New Jersey, don't take this seriously, right? I mean, again, I look at the usual suspects in the establishment media: the Star Ledger, the Bergen Record, NorthJersey.com, Insider NJ. Like, these are all news sites that dismiss people like you both and other hardworking individuals within the organization as well, that are trying to raise awareness because, again, we should want fair elections. Listen, I'm the son of a Cuban mother. Okay. My mom, my aunt, my grandparents left Cuba with nothing but a suitcase. They left everything behind. They know what it's like to have unfair, unethical elections in Cuba. My dad, who left poverty in Colombia, okay, understands when there aren't fair and transparent elections, what happens. We get, socialists like in Colombia now with the guy who's president now, as well as throughout Latin America, even throughout Western Europe. So the idea that election transparency, integrity, and honesty shouldn't be frowned upon, but it just seems like, again, it shouldn't be a Republican, Democrat, conservative, or liberal or progressive thing. But it just seems like everybody on the left dismisses good people like you guys. How do you even just keep your sanity?
Well, I would say it's not just a left problem, Fernando.
Okay.
Lynn, you want to? It's both. It's the people in power versus everyone else.
The rest of us. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
we're not just getting pushback from one side; it's coming from both sides. Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, in a state like New Jersey, that's kind of been solidly blue, right, since 1988. Let's say on the presidential level. A little history lesson, folks. Again, last time New Jersey turned red was in 1988 under George H.W. Bush, then defeating Governor Michael Dukakis. Some whispers maybe New Jersey turns red in 15 days. I don't know. We'll see, God willing. But that might not be the case. But you're hearing it from Republicans. Like, are there certain counties that maybe are really guilty of this, guys? Or where are you hearing it from?
You mean as far as pushing back against folks that are trying to push for election integrity?
Is it counties? Is it organizations? Like
not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, we've found success, like I said earlier, and it would be. I don't want to end this meeting without shouting out our team, because we really have gathered together a strong group of people from all over the state, and we've got some real fighters who are really, really very engaged, and they're really trying to become educated with their counties and work with their counties. And like I said, it's all about engaging and being proactive and trying to make people understand where we're coming from. So I think that across the board, we're not really, I don't know that there's one county that's better than others, but we're just further along in some counties. And we do have some counties where we don't really have too many volunteers yet. So hopefully a lot of people watching this broadcast might spark some interest. And we are so happy to have new people that we're very willing to bring you on board and teach you what we know and get you working. If you want to help out, we will find something for you to do.
I mean, folks, for everyone at home here, again, please visit citizens4njei.org. They are the Citizens for New Jersey Election Integrity. That's a big word.
It's a big mouth.
I'll get used to it. My apologies. But again, it's my pleasure to really give you guys a platform and a voice, because you're not getting that from traditional media. And I guarantee you that you'll get a lot more engagement now. Trust me. People watch this program. People respect it. You're going to get a lot more people gravitating towards your wonderful organization. Again, folks, make sure you follow them on Twitter. Once again, you can check them out at njei.org. Jesus. Citizens4njei.org. Their founders, Mark Denmo and Lynne Lippincott, join us here tonight. Guys, I want to thank you for coming on this program, for believing in me. Real quickly, I'll give you both the last word. Lynne, we'll start with you.
Sure. Thank you. Again, Fernando, I really appreciate you bringing us on the program. When you and I talked a couple months ago, I mean, it was great. We connected on something I posted on Twitter, and I was just so fired up and passionate, and you picked up on that, and I really appreciate that you reached out. The other thing was, in addition to the website, if anyone would like to get more information, you can feel free to email us, and the email address would be info@citizens, the number 4, njei.org. So send us an email. We're happy to connect with you. We'd love to have you join us.
And Fernando,
Yes.
I'll end with, lots of people, when they start out on this journey, they'll ask, well, I'm just one person. What can I do? Right? Well, the answer is, it's difficult to do things on your own, but when you're part of a group that can teach you about all the opportunities to get involved and take advantage and put you in a position to be successful with the skills that you have, that you're good at, or that you're interested in, which is what we try to do. You won't be disappointed if you get involved. Everyone has a role to play in this, and the process is what it is right now because good people have ignored it for far too long. And that's why we're here.
I got to tell you, when I reached out to you guys during the summer, I knew something. I was like, Fernando, this is a good thing. Reach out to them. Be insistent, persistent. Reach out to them. Let's get them on the show. Let's talk about this, especially in this election season. To Lynne's point, next year's gubernatorial race, assembly races, mayoral races. Up here in Hudson County, we got 2 big mayoral races, Hoboken, Jersey City. It's happening statewide. We want integrity. We want transparency, and we want honesty in our elections. It starts with great people like Lynne Lippincott and Mark Denmo, the founders of Citizens for New Jersey Election Integrity. My apologies. Here in New Jersey, once again, that's Citizens for New Jersey Election Integrity. Their founders join us here tonight. Guys, God bless you. And we'll talk again soon here on the Jersey First Television Network. Take care, you guys.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Folks, again, we apologize for some technical difficulties. I know we were supposed to start a little bit sooner. Again, apologies on my end. Things happen. My apologies there. And we appreciate Lynne Lippincott and Mark Denmo coming on the show today to talk about, really, again, election integrity. And again, for more information, check out their website, www.citizens4njei.org. Once again, make sure you follow them on Twitter/X. And as Lynne mentioned, again, do reach out to them. Shoot them an email, as she said, info@citizens4njei.org. And trust me, folks, they're a worthwhile organization to get involved with. Here, as we're 15 days away to learn more about election transparency, listen, it's getting great people like them involved in the process and demanding accountability of our elected officials, not just in Trenton, let's say the governor, Senate president, the Assembly speaker, legislators, but also our local county boards of election. Because now more than ever, folks, we want honesty there. We want transparency. Isn't there always like this big grief, right, about, access to ballots and the county line and this and that? We hear all this bitching and moaning, right, by people talking about that. But let's make sure the process is fair. Well, folks, 2 good people like Mark Denmo and Lynne Lippincott go a long way in making sure that the process can eventually become fair and honest and full of integrity. Folks, this shouldn't be difficult. It's not complicated, right? And that's one of the things that really upsets me, because it really isn't a political issue, I think. I don't think it's about, making sure that, we stick it to one side of it. No, folks, we should want elections to be fair for everybody. Okay? Asking for voter ID is not unreasonable. It's not immoral. It's not unethical. It's not racist. It's not bigoted. It just isn't. It seems like one side of the political aisle is fixated on that. I get it. But folks, if you want elections to be honest and fair, folks, voter ID, making election day a federal holiday goes a long way. Again, to their point, we're living in election season. That's crazy. The idea that we're voting over a period of weeks. Yes, they're right. That is susceptible to chicanery and shady practices. And let's be honest, we know both sides are guilty of it. I get it. And they're right. But let's eliminate that. Let's make sure that we're insistent about election integrity, about transparency, about honesty. Because again, right, don't always hear about people talk about democracy and making sure that, we save the republic. Well, folks, part of saving the republic and part of preserving democracy is making sure that our elections are fair. You know what? The two good people like Mark Denmo and Lynne Lippincott, I feel confident that we'll get there. Once again, folks, for more information, visit them at citizens4, again, the number 4, njei.org. Great website, a lot of resources there. Folks, I'll tell you right now, I was reading it and I felt even more informed than when I first started. So shout out to them and the best of luck to them. We'll get them certainly back on in the new year and talk about any strides that were made during this election season, certainly what to look forward to in 2025. Folks, you don't want to go anywhere because you know what time it is. It's time for final thoughts. And folks, let me start off by saying that when I talk about Fernando Uribe being the generational talent of media, I'm not lying. It's true. It's not about the awards behind me. Sure, that helps. It's not about the traffic, which is great, which that helps too. But folks, it's about putting up content that's interesting, that's informative. That's not the usual partisanship that we see with the establishment media, right? And I take pride on that here on the Jersey First Television Network. And I get it. People out there will say, well, Fernando's got a huge ego. He's braggadocious. He's arrogant. He's smug. Yeah, I am all those things. I'm proud of it, as a matter of fact. But what I also am, and when I need to be, is I'm humble. And I got to tell you, here's a moment where it's not about me, but it's about putting someone else over. For all you wrestling fans, I think you know what that term means. And what I mean by putting over is acknowledging greatness when you see it. And folks, I got to tell you, when I think about greatness right now in journalism in New Jersey, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you something that comes to mind. My good friend and fellow Rutgers alumnus, Joy Block. Now, for those of you that don't know, Joy Block is the host of In the Middle on Fox Sports Radio New Jersey. Now, I've had the privilege of knowing this young man since 2020. Now, when I first started Real Talk on June 1st, 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, being home, we couldn't really go out, right? The emperor had us locked in our homes, right? We were eating ourselves to sleep or drinking ourselves to sleep or whatever we were doing, right? Obviously, we were home on our smartphones, on our MacBooks, our laptops, on our tablets, our iPads. And we were always looking for content. And of course, I'm thankful to everybody that made Real Talk with Fernando Uribe on Monday nights a regular habit of their Monday night viewing traditions. But a guy that I got to know during the summer of 2020 was Joey Block, fellow Rutgers alumnus. As a matter of fact, he had just graduated from Rutgers. Smart, witty young man who I had the privilege, again, of interacting with, not just to get him on my show, but to get invited to his program. And folks, if you don't listen to In the Middle and make that a regular habit of yours every week, I mean, again, you're missing out. I've interviewed Joey on multiple occasions. And let me tell you something. For as much as I like to sort of shit on millennials and Generation Z for not knowing a lot about politics, that's not the case with Joey Block. This young man is as informed as it gets in our media landscape here in New Jersey. So again, if you haven't had a chance, do tune into his show. Now, we're both members of the New Jersey Society of Professional Journalists, sort of the governing body that gives and bestows press credentials to journalists. And contrary to all the Mickey Mouse journalists out there in New Jersey media that don't think that Fernando Uribe is a journalist, well, newsflash, I am. So it's important to get some ointment for that burn at your local Duane Reade, Walgreens, or CVS. But this is the governing body that acknowledges all the good work that journalists perform every year. And yes, journalism is changing. It's no longer just going to your undergraduate, college, university of your choice, getting a journalism degree, and then, start writing for the local paper. Folks, times have changed. Okay? The internet and social media have changed the way we consume news and information. Podcasting has become a popular forum. I would know. I started the first and only podcast in Hudson County with Blog Talk Radio back in 2017. It transformed itself into another podcast and subsequently doing video podcasting with the Hudson Media Group and now with Jersey First TV. So I understand the importance of podcasting because it is here to stay. It is a medium that makes a difference and that people like to tune into. Whether it's Joe Rogan, Ben Shapiro, Piers Morgan, the Young Turks, take your pick, folks. Whether you're right or left or in the middle, excuse the pun, Joey. People are watching and listening to podcasts. And the New Jersey Society of Professional Journalists over the weekend had their annual awards dinner. And as you can see behind me, Joey Block, and in the middle with Fox Sports Radio New Jersey, was bestowed the Best Podcast Award at the awards gala. As you can see there, shout out to his lovely mother. My goodness, Mrs. Block, a stunning woman there, by the way. Shout out to Mrs. Block, who I know is a big fan of this show, just like she's a proud mama of her son's excellent show. So once again, folks, if you haven't listened to In the Middle on Fox Sports Radio, do me a favor, start doing that. Because Joey Block is worth listening to. And in this sort of media echo chamber that we live in New Jersey, folks, where let's be honest, the establishment media continues to let us down. More on that in a moment. But somebody who will never let you down, because A, he gets great guests, creates excellent discussions, and provides really informative content. Folks, that is the brand that Joey Block has created with Fox Sports Radio New Jersey. And in 4 short years, being bestowed the recipient of the Best Podcast Award by the New Jersey Society of Professional Journalists. Folks, for all of us that are podcasters, for all of us that do digital media, online video media, we should aspire to be as great as Joey Block. And listen, if there's ever anybody to put over, it's Joey Block. It's a privilege to know you. It's a privilege to work with you. It's a privilege to interact with you. So congratulations to Joey Block, the host of In the Middle on Fox Sports Radio New Jersey. Again, congratulations to him, his family again, wonderful mother there in the background. Shout out to Mama Block. You should be exceptionally proud. Because in 4 short years, folks, the sky's the limit for Joey Block. You saw it there over the weekend, and you continue seeing it for the foreseeable future. So again, here's to exceptional journalism, courtesy of Fox Sports Radio New Jersey and Joey Block. Congratulations, my friend. You're most deserving. And here's to many, many more years of you winning. Congratulations, bro. Keep doing your thing. Now, of course, when we talk about, great journalism, yes, we can think of Joey Block and In the Middle. We can totally talk about this show without question. But folks, when we think about bad journalism, and unfortunately, when we should all aspire to be like Joey Block, unfortunately, in New Jersey media, right? And Halloween is right around the corner. Okay. And with Halloween being right around the corner, why not talk about some clowns in New Jersey media? Because as much as we can be proud of Joey Block, folks, we can sit there and discuss in dismay about the disservice that these clowns do to us. Right? In no particular order, but let's look at Matt Friedman. Okay? A grown man in his 40s who obsesses over marijuana. Folks, it's sad. And again, I've never smoked marijuana. I don't care to. I don't need to. It's not my thing. Okay. It seems like that's his vice. Cool. Okay. You know, I mean, can you blame his wife if she's working like long hours at the bookstore? I mean, who would really want to come home to Matt Friedman? An insufferable left-wing propagandist on his own, maybe not necessarily in his columns, to some extent he is, but more so on his Twitter feed. To say nothing of the fact that Politico somehow thinks it's okay to charge you hundreds of dollars for their paywall to subscribe to garbage content, because that's what a lot of Politico is. And it starts with Matt Friedman. It starts with the New Jersey Playbook. Folks, when we all know that when we think about morning newsletters that give us a good perspective about what's going on in New Jersey media, folks, you know who you should subscribe to? How about John Hines with Hudson County View? Okay. How about Terrence McDonald, who, by the way, I don't see eye to eye with him on a lot of things politically. But folks, you want a really good statewide newsletter that's an exceptional alternative to the New Jersey Playbook? Try the New Jersey Monitor. Go on their website, NewJerseyMonitor.org. Subscribe, it's free. I guarantee you, you'll learn a hell of a lot more with that newsletter in your inbox than you'll ever learn with the New Jersey Playbook. It's true, folks. This is not me being braggadocious or blasphemous or derogatory. No, folks, it's fact. I have tons of text messages and emails and DMs that will tell me, hey, have you seen the Playbook lately? Hasn't it gone to shit? Yeah, of course it has, because guess who's leading the way? Matt Friedman, who seems to be more concerned with marijuana and growing marijuana plants on his property, because again, I know he has a big heart on. He lives in New York State, and he barely leaves his house, right? But instead of maybe doing something more informative on his social media, yes, it's taking pictures of marijuana plants that he grows. Folks, is there, and again, I get it. Maybe the only pussy in the house that likes to be near him are his cats. It's certainly not his wife, probably. I mean, who would want to be? Here's a grown man. Here's a grown effing man in his late, actually maybe early 50s. Look at him. He looks disgusting. You think that the guy would, when he goes on television or appears on Zoom calls to be somewhat informative to, let's say, college students, you at least look a little presentable, man. Again, I get it. You can't be as pretty as me, but my God, look somewhat presentable. Jesus, what a shitty job your parents did in raising you. Seriously, you can't even look presentable on television. Bro, you're a journalist. Look the part. Play the part. Be the part. Don't look like you're living under a bridge somewhere in upstate New York. My God. Let's move on to Alan Levin. By the way, again, apparently a frequent contributor on Insider NJ. And again, folks, you can see there, obviously. Okay. You know, Halloween's right around the corner, so you can see Max is in, full spirit for Halloween. Obviously, you can see the Three Stooges there behind me. Some of the bigger clowns in New Jersey media work at Insider NJ, right? Alan Steinberg, the resident Trump derangement syndrome propagandist, their editor-in-chief, Max Pizarro, another TDS propagandist, and of course, Pete O'Nelia. Folks, have you ever seen a guy? You know what's really funny? And I know them. It's not like I'm talking out of my ass. No, unfortunately, I have the distinction of knowing all three of these idiots. Okay. One sits at home earning over $100,000 a year as the editor, and somehow he still makes Fred Snowflake drive up and down New Jersey to cover stories when Max could just leave his house. Folks, other than leaving his house to go to the League of Municipalities, does Max really do any work? Makes you wonder. And for a guy like Pete O'Nelia, you know what's really funny? And I hate picking on poor old Pete, right? Because his life basically is his dog and that's it in his laptop, right? Here's a guy, okay, who is the Hawthorne Municipal Democrat Committee chair, okay? And somehow, nobody in the Graham family seems to sit him down and be like, hey, by the way, kind of a bad look for us that you're the general manager of a news site that's supposed to be nonpartisan and just support, reporting the news, right? But somehow you're the chairman of the Hawthorne Democrat Municipal Committee. How is that not a conflict of interest? It's like me saying, oh, yes, I'm a broadcast journalist, but let me go and try to become I don't know, the Hudson County Republican chair or the chair of the municipal Republican committee in the city that I live in. People would look at me and be like, what, Fernando? You're the chair of what? And you're doing what with news? See, folks, again, that doesn't happen on this show because, again, what I have on this program and what I am as a person, unlike these clowns, again, is that four-syllable word they all struggle with. I don't struggle with it. Integrity. Okay? I have that. They don't. That's the stark difference here between myself and these guys. Okay? But what I also have on this show is a work ethic, right? Which is more than I can say for Uncle Dave, David Cruz. Oye, sinceramente, yo nunca he visto un hombre tan vago como David Cruz. Qué vago, qué huevón, bro, porque este hombre no trabaja. Okay? Slim over there doesn't work. Folks, crossing guards in the rain and snow have more of a work ethic than Uncle Dave. For a guy that takes off every summer, does one show a week, Reporters Roundtable, which has been a clear downgrade since Michael Aaron no longer hosts it. Again, shout out to the late, great Michael Aaron. I'm always grateful to him for his belief in my brand of journalism. But here's Uncle Dave, okay, who hosts Reporters Roundtable and then travels down to Rowan University to host sort of an informal town hall between U.S. Senate candidates, Curtis Pashaw and Andy Kim. Now, again, I'm not complaining. When there's a chance to look at a MILF like Brianna Vanozzi, hey, I'm going to tune in. Okay? Have you checked out Brianna lately? Trust me, definitely worth checking out. But you see Uncle Dave there, right? I mean, taking up two chairs. And I mean, Dave, the reason that if we're lacking trees in New Jersey, it's David Cruz with this ruffling of papers that he has. Bro, it's an hour telecast. It's almost like when you're hosting Chatbox or hosting Reporters Roundtable. It's 30 minutes. The guy's sitting there like he's got a thesis on him. Bro, you ever heard of index cards? Again, bro, tú eres lazy. Tú eres bastante lazy. My God, Jesus. But again, folks, look at the downgrading in journalism we're talking about. Okay? Speaking about downgrading in journalism, about Tom Moran. Another TDS exhibitor. Very much like Sleepy Owl. I know it's 6:35. Oh, Alan Steimer, it's way past his bedtime. He had dinner at 4. He's in bed by 4:30. Trust me, he'll watch the replay tomorrow. He can't help himself. Okay? But Tom Moran's another one when it comes to, being dishonest. And perhaps the most egregious example of Trump Ranger syndrome in New Jersey media. Folks, read his columns if you need a cure for insomnia. Okay? Just read them. And if there's ever a reason to vote for Republicans this election cycle in 15 days, okay, it's to stick it to all of these clowns who continuously do us a disservice, let's be honest, on a daily basis. Okay? Yes, we need Donald Trump to win in 15 days. Folks, this country won't survive another 4 years, 4 months, 4 hours, or 4 minutes of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris policies. Okay? That's a lot of these people up here, they don't care. They're sitting in their ass at home, making over $100,000 a year, not even really working a full year, let's be honest. Okay? Some of them, at best, maybe work 6 months out of the year. And the other 6 months, they're doing voiceovers, which they can do from their ass at home. Okay? Folks, now more than ever, even in nearby Pennsylvania, you got to vote red. Because what have we been seeing with left-wing propagandists that masquerade as journalists, right? Or lawyers like Alan Levin. Folks, have you checked out his columns on Insider NJ? Folks, first of all, I think it's fair to say I wouldn't let Alan Levin defend me in a traffic stop at municipal court. That's how inept I suspect Alan Levin is. But of course, if he's inept, of course he's writing columns for Insider NJ. Okay. Okay. And last but not least, let's get to Jay Lassen. Okay. A grown man in his early 70s, still fixated on weed. I kind of look at Matt Freeman and Jay Lasseter sort of like as one and the same person. Like basically, like, Jay Lasseter is what Matt Freeman's going to be in 20 years. Okay? Like obsessed with weed, looking like he lives under a bridge. And, well, the only pussy who wants to be around them are their cats. But folks, this is the disservice to journalism we see every single week. Okay? Don't take my word for it. Watch their segments. Read their columns. In a time when Americans are struggling to pay for groceries because of record inflation, in a time when illegals are flooding across our borders and they're being bused to different states around this country, they're overcrowding our schools, they're using up our social services, they're overcrowding our emergency rooms, they're bringing down the quality of life in our neighborhoods, right? Don't believe me? Talk to realtors. When they're renting apartments and trying to fit 5, 6, 7, even 10 of them in there. You don't think that brings down the quality of life in a building? You don't think that brings down the quality of life in a neighborhood? You're naive if you think so. Okay? Crime rates that are still seriously high in our cities. Okay? Gangs taking over properties in various parts of this country. Right? The alphabet mob having their way in our public schools, corrupting our kids with drag queen story time, force feeding this identity nonsense to our children. In a state with the highest property taxes in the country, these idiots behind me would rather focus on pronouns than focus on real world issues. But that's perfect for them because they don't live in the real world. Because when you're making 6 figures, working from home, scratching your ass, and generally just being useless, you don't get to live the real world. Because you're sheltered, you live in your little bubble, right? But for the rest of us out there that work an honest day, people like myself that work 8, 9, even more hours in a day, the rest of you at home, all you great New Jersey residents that tune into this show every week, and even some of my out-of-state friends that have real jobs, that work 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, even 12-hour days. Folks, these idiots don't work 12 hours in a week. Who are we kidding? Now, that's what they want you to believe, but that's not the truth. And folks, this is why people don't trust establishment media. Never mind the national media. We all know nobody wants to trust CBS, NBC News, ABC News, CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times, the Chicago Tribune, the Miami Herald. Take your pick, folks. Less and less Americans are trusting the establishment. Why? Because they're blatantly lying to you every single day. And here in New Jersey, these fools behind me, they're constantly lying to you. Stirring up hysteria about, oh my God, if Kamala Harris doesn't get elected, we're approaching fascism. No, folks, we're not approaching fascism. Okay. Donald Trump was president from January 20th, 2017 until January 20th, 2021. And never once were any journalists imprisoned. Never once were any of his political opponents imprisoned. Never once did he suspend a free press. By the way, never once did he suspend habeas corpus and suspend due process, right? But these fools behind you will want you to believe that Donald Trump was going to do that. He did that, or that if you reelect him, he's going to do that. No, folks, he's not going to do any of that. What he's going to want to do is hold people accountable in Washington, hold people accountable in the media who continue to lie to you like these fools do. And folks, it is October. And as you can see there right in the middle, Pennywise from It, for any of you Stephen King fans. Folks, if there's a picture that succinctly and accurately depicts media in New Jersey, folks, look at the clown in the middle, because that's a clown. Like, he's openly dressed as a clown. Folks, the people around Pennywise, yeah, they're clowns. masquerading as journalists. Know the difference. One's a clown that's out and about, you kind of know they're a clown. The others are just in denial and trying to make you believe that they're not clowns. Folks, again, in a world, in a media echo chamber here in New Jersey, full of, clowns like Matt Friedman and Alan Levin and Max Pizarro and Pete O'Neillia and Alan Steinberg and David Cruz and Tom Moran and Jay Lasser, in a world full of these useless humans, folks, what we need to do is be more like Joey Block. That's what we need to be. You want to believe in good journalism again? You want to believe in responsible journalism again? You want to believe in reputable journalism again? Sure, folks, you can tune into this show. But guess what? You can also tune into award-winning podcaster Joey Block. Yeah, folks. Great journalists like Joey Block and the clowns I just mentioned, they're not the same. Know the differences. I do. And those are my final thoughts. Folks, that's our show for this week once again. I want to thank Lynne Lippincott and Mark Denmo for their time this evening. And certainly for more information, make sure you check out their website, citizens4NJEI.org. Once again, that's the Citizens for New Jersey Election Integrity, a great organization. Make sure you follow them on Twitter. Get involved with them. Of course, shoot them an email, info@citizens4NJEI.org. Folks, before we call it a night here, special commentary. And again, as you can tell, my voice has not been its usual blasphemous and braggadocious self. Yes, folks, over the weekend, I had the privilege of hosting the 2024 edition of A Professor's Quest to Save Breasts at the world-famous Ventanas at the Modern in Fort Lee. Great crowd turned out on a beautiful Saturday night. Obviously, we got to see the Yankees clinch their 41st American League pennant. So shout out to the Yankees. Yankees in 5, folks. Back to the Fall Classic. Looking to win their first World Series since 2009 against a very, very dangerous National League champions, the LA Dodgers. But, historically, we've had the Dodgers number. I think so, too, in 2024. Yankees in 5, folks. You heard it here on this program. But during the evening, folks, we were able to honor a great community advocate like Olivia Hutcherson, who unfortunately lost her battle to breast cancer last November. And, of course, we were able to sponsor awareness about breast cancer during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We'll continue doing that on this show, folks. Again, I'm thinking pink always. I want to thank my incredible co-hosts, Vladimir Carrero, Emily Amato, and Jacqueline Rodriguez. Together, we were able to raise a great amount Saturday night. And again, since 2008, folks, A Professor's Quest to Save Breasts has raised over $63,000 for the American Cancer Society and for making strides against breast cancer. So between being on the microphone for hours on Friday night, doing the breast cancer walk, literally hours later, yesterday morning in Newark, right in front of the Prudential Center, it was a busy weekend for your favorite philanthropist. But folks, don't worry. My voice will recover, so no need to be concerned. But again, I'm a warrior. I'm a fighter. Again, folks, it's why I am the generational talent, because I keep it moving. Okay? If I can talk, if I'm breathing, I'm going to talk. I'm happy to do that every single week here on this program. And now more than ever, it's such a privilege and an honor to co-host with these incredible humans behind me. God bless everyone who came out Saturday night, my family, friends, colleagues, you name it. Folks, we're all making a difference for the American Cancer Society. If you're looking to donate online, you can still do so. Please look up A Professor's Quest to Save Breast 2024. You can donate online. Again, folks, your online donations are safe, secure, and tax deductible. Proceeds obviously benefit the American Cancer Society. So once again, thank you to everybody who attended this past Saturday night at A Professor's Quest to Save Breasts at Ventanas at the Modern in Fort Lee. And that's our show for this week, folks. Once again, I want to thank Lynne Lippincott and Mark Denmo, the founders of Citizens for New Jersey Election Integrity here in the Garden State. Always remember, folks, make sure you like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe to Jersey First on our YouTube page. Again, like, comment, and share, and let everyone know how much you enjoy Jersey First TV. Of course, whether you get your podcast on Spotify or SoundCloud, do me a favor, download it and take Jersey First TV with you anywhere at any time. Folks, I can't say enough what a privilege it is to be on the dream team of New Jersey media. That's right, folks. It is Jersey First TV. Brand new episodes of the Nader Narrative premiere every Thursday, hosted by the outstanding Elizabeth Nader. And brand new episodes of Bridging the Gap with AJ Malillo and Stephen Rambolo premiere every Thursday as well. Don't forget, of course, check it out on all the social media platforms that Jersey First TV subscribe to. And we appreciate your support each and every week here on the broadcast. Again, of course, you can check out brand new episodes every Monday Night Live. Of course, check your local listings for Real Talk right here with Fernando Uribe on the Jersey First Television Network. Folks, always remember, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's always Real Talk right here on the Jersey First Television Network. I am New Jersey's premier and now 10-time award-winning journalist. Top Latino is voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative. And certainly, folks, I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media, because my level of honesty, now more than ever, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, folks. It's me, the generational talent and the future of media right here in New Jersey. Because, folks, you can't spell future without the letters FU. And guess what? You can't spell Fernando Uribe either. That's right, folks. Take care of yourselves. Please party responsibly. Again, let's go Yankees, as game one of the World Series emanates from Los Angeles this Friday night at 8 o'clock Eastern time on Fox. All 7 games, which I don't think it'll take 7 games, but all 7 games if necessary, will start at 8 o'clock Eastern time, folks. Let's go Yankees. Let's bring this home. Let's bring home World Series championship number 28. We've been waiting a long time. Let's get it done, boys. Go get them out in LA. Let's bring it home. Once again, folks, thank you so much for tuning in here. Always remember, please party responsibly. Enjoy Halloween weekend. It's my favorite time of the year. Again, don't drink and drive. Get some real costumes out there. Again, enjoy yourselves with friends and family during my favorite time of year, which is always Halloween. Folks, again, take care of yourselves. Thanks for stopping by. And always remember, stay classy, everyone.